It was total chaotic. That promoter bought us almost $500 million. I'm like, looking at Mike, like, you talking to Rocky like that, man? I would talk him out of it. I don't like the risk factors.
Talk to me about what it was like to manage Mike Tyson.
It was total chaotic, because I mean, so much stuff. Mike came up in a different era, man. Mike, at that time it was three Mikes: Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan, and Michael Jackson. And out of the three, Michael Jackson and Mike Tyson probably was, these global icons. Like you really, Michael Jordan too, but Mike in particular because he was a young kid coming up. He was younger than other guys. He was very young, and the path that he chosen to go created such an interest in the public that it made it. I mean, really, it was just crazy. He started out. We just became, close friends. We've been friends for over 30 years. In fact, I always tell people, man, my wife, who I've been married to for 36 years, Mike introduced me to her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he introduced me to her. And that's a funny story in itself. But it was chaotic, man. I mean, you couldn't go nowhere. You literally, any place you go, I mean, it was literally time was stopped. Right? If you go back to New York to Harlem, literally hundreds of thousands of people just shut it down. I mean, he was that kind of guy. He was that popular. And at the same time, he was always maintained a certain connection to his community, to the neighborhoods, and so he wasn't a guy that walked around with 100 bodyguards or a bunch of SUVs following behind him. Mike was a people's person.
In your book, Taming the Beast, you mentioned his compulsive nature that provided a lot of this difficulties, and a lot of that will be spurred on by these riches that he's getting, and influences from the outside that are dragging him down and distracting him from what made him so great as a sports star. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Tough. It was tough on Mike, I should say. It was very tough on Mike, and it was tough on me trying to wrap my arms around it and protect him. Because the more famous he got, the more affluence and money he got, the more difficult it was. And Mike has a very impulsive personality. 1 minute we can make plans and plans and plans, but the only thing counts is the next 2 minutes. Because Mike has changed his mind, and your plans that you've been making all week and preparing everybody turns to because Mike's just such an impulsive, person. And once he gets something in his mind, it's very difficult to change his mind. One time we was preparing for a fight, and I usually like 14 weeks, maybe before the fight, I set up the camp. So, I had people that have set the camp up for me. And I said, well, listen, we're going to start training up in Arizona in Flagstaff. So these guys get 18-wheeler trucks. They bring all Mike's equipment. They bring rings. They bring boxing equipment. They bring TVs. So we rent out a whole hotel. They gave us the kitchen. I bring my private cooks. Everything is set up. So finally, everything's set up. Mikey said, is everything set up? I said, everything is set up, champ. He said, okay. So he coming to town. He maybe train 1 or 2 days. He gets bored. So all of a sudden he jumps up. He said, I don't want to train here. I said, Mike, what do you mean you don't want to train here, man? We got almost $1 million worth of equipment up here, man. We bought out the hotel for the 14 weeks. We done did all this stuff, man, for the train. This is perfect training. And I said, and I tried my best to make it to his liking, like go overboard. You know what I mean? And he said, I don't want to train here. I said, well, I said, give it a couple of days. And in my mind, I'm going, a couple of days, he'll settle down.
Yeah.
When we woke up in the morning, he was gone. Security said, Mike is in Vegas. Mike called me. I said, what are you doing in Vegas? He said, bring all the stuff here. I said, Mike, I can't travel around the country with all this stuff. He said, I want to train here. Bring it here. So we get to Vegas. packed up all the stuff. It cost us a fortune. All of a sudden we get to Vegas. I don't want to train here. I want to go to Ohio. I said, oh my God, this is driving me crazy. And when he put his mind in something, it's like you gotta accommodate him. It was crazy.
Yeah,
you know, like you're a little kid and you can say, no, you're going to train here. So, once I get him to the ring and I see him touch gloves, all of a sudden it's like a weight of the world is lifted off my shoulder. I don't even want to watch the fight. I want to go home because I got you where I need to get you.
Yeah. That's a task in itself, clearly. So I again, I read in the book that you described as when Mike became heavyweight champ at 19, that being, one of the greatest experiences with Mike. Talk to me about that moment and that time and that period and your relationship with him.
Well, it was amazing. I mean, for me, that's probably one of the most memorable times in my life, and I'm 63 now. And when we started, we started this thing organically, just best friends, we had such a bond. And I remember particularly that particular story. I go to Vegas with my bosses, with some colleagues, and we go to the fight. So I see Mike leaning against the wall while I'm sitting there talking to him. Crowds, out of Vegas, the crowds is just clamoring. They want a piece of this guy, of Mike. So I see Sylvester Stallone walking down, coming towards us. In my mind at that time, I was young, and I see Rocky coming towards me. I'm going, holy right? I'm going, this can't be real, right? So then he stopped. And I'm this close to him. I'm saying, holy Rocky. I'm not saying Sylvester Stallone, they're Rocky. So then Mike, he said to Mike, he said, hey, Mike. And Mike said, what's up, man? All nonchalant, what's up, man? And he said, yo, Mike, man, good fight, man. Congratulations. Maybe we need to talk about you being in the next franchise, next movie of Rocky. And then Mike looked at him and said, let me ask you something. In the movie, you beat me? He said, yeah, it's Rocky. He said, hell no, I wouldn't even let you beat me for play. Not even for play, I wouldn't let you beat me. And I'm like, looking at Mike, like, you talking to Rocky like that, man?
The money is pouring in. The money is rolling in. Tyson is earning serious dollar. And at that point, there are other people in the boxing world that are entering his lives, the Don Kings of this world, for example. What was your relationship with Don like? And how did you see his influence on Mike?
Well, it's not so much his influence on Mike. I never had a problem with Don. Don, he would. I got as much. Put it this way, I gathered as much information in the sport of boxing, in that space. I made sure I gathered as much information that I could from him and experience. For me, he catapulted me in terms of my business acumen, the fast track. I got to learn from him, the do's and the don'ts. So my relationship with him was one of business, but it was one, sort of friend business type, but I never blurred the lines. He understood that. He understood my position. He understood the position I was in. So I never, Mike was my closest friend. So I never wanted to ever blur the lines between us. You understand? It was business. And he had influence on Mike to a certain extent. Mike really relied on me to deal with Don, kind of the liaison between the both of these guys, the middleman. And but his relationship was solid with Don. He never really had a problem with Don. Just scrapes, little small issues and stuff that Mike was having. Most of it was due to Mike. Don was trying to get, a lot of people try to say different things, certain rumors and innuendos about Don, but the fact of the matter for us, that promoter bought us almost $500 million.
When he was in prison, he kind of, then the purchases got a little bit more like lavish. It wasn't just then fast cars and $1 million homes. Tigers. There were tigers that were being bought and whatnot. Talk to me a little bit about that. The tigers that he bought and you're thinking like
that's again a part of it, impulsive behavior. Like he go out, but I don't know how he came up with this fascination for tigers and stuff. It was, it was like he had like a fascination. Next thing you know, we had like 7 tigers, 1 leopard, and he's asking about a giraffe and a hippo. I'm like, what the hell is going on around here? Right?
The
And
giraffe and the hippo.
so we at the house and we got these tigers walking around the house like they pets and stuff, laying in the garage and yeah, and he tears down the house next. He buy the house, tear it down next door, and make a big moat with palm trees so the tigers can feel at home. I'm like, this is I said, Mike, you don't want me visiting you no more. You got all these tigers and stuff around here, man.
I mean, when was the last time? I know because you've had your relationship. When did it break down with him? Talk to me a little bit about what happened between you two.
Well, it's funny you ask that because there's nothing ever happened. It's just one of them situations where we kind of grown apart. When it first happened, I think a lot of people made way more of it than it was, particularly between him and I. Him and I never had an argument. It's just something that happened. I can't even really explain it other than the fact that he and I will always have a connection. We'll always be, but he's the godfather of my kids. We'll always be brothers, and I will always support him up close or from afar. But we never, the rumor mill took a toll on me. I don't know if it ever took a toll on him, but it took a toll on me, the rumor mill. The rumor mill of Rory took his money or allowed someone to take his money, take advantage of Mike. That took a toll on me.
Yeah.
Because Mike know that I would never let that happen intentionally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to this day, I've never seen any proof of that happen.
Yeah.
So that kind of took a toll on me. I think outsiders came in and drew a wedge between us. They had an objective, and I think their objective worked. It's like with anything else, man, in life, man. Most successful people or situations, people see you doing good, they want to do what you do, be in your position.
Yeah.
So I always had that hanging on my head, being the closest person in the world of Mike. I always had that on my head. I was the target, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And eventually it chipped away at our friendship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, when we went out separate ways, there wasn't no argument, wasn't no beef, it wasn't no anything.
Yeah.
Which never gave me closure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So, but life has to go on. I got a family and life has to go on. So you go on, but that's something that always linger inside of me, my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, my life goes on. You got to go on. You got to move, keep moving forward. And that's what I did. It was difficult, when you lose a family member in that fashion. But at the same time, like I said, man, I got had nothing but good times with Mike. He afforded me, again, me and my family, things that may have never happened.
Yeah.
The journey was amazing.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't be able to sit here and tell you that story if he and I had never met.
Yeah.
So I take the good with the bad,
Yeah.
and just keep rolling.
Yeah. So now he's back. He's in the ring. He's fighting Jake Paul. How do you think he's going to do?
Honestly, let me just put it like this. If it were my choice and he was with me, I would talk him out of it.
Okay.
Because I don't like it.
All right.
I don't like the risk factors.
Yeah.
Right? When you're given his age and that he haven't fought in so long, took punches in so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all these things, I think about. And so if it was me and I was in position, I would talk him out of it. Like I just, because, and like every time when he fought Lennox Lewis, like I was calling his trainer and said, man, y'all got to get him out of this fight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, when I see Mike out of shape like that, and is 30 pounds, 40 pounds overweight, I know he didn't train at all, right? Because Mike took great pride in his physique, how he looked, and how he trained. I've seen Mike literally break down because he was 2 pounds over 218.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm saying, Mike, you look perfect. And he'd be up in the middle of the night because he need to get down to 218, right?
Wow.
He was 221, right? And nobody know the difference but the scale in him, right? So I've seen him, like, I know his mindset, right? So for me, in this particular situation, like going back to Lewis, I didn't want him to fight because I had heard the rumors and stuff. I wasn't with him at the time. But I heard the rumors and stuff that he was 35 pounds overweight. And I'm calling one of his trainers and say, hey man, why would y'all let Mike go in the ring like that? You know, and Lennox Lewis did it real damage to him, right? But that was a fraction of the Mike Tyson that we know.
Yeah.
Right. And I believe Lennox knew that too. He's a great fighter. I believe he knew that too.
Yeah.
But like, this fight right here, man, given all the different factors, I wouldn't allow him. I can't say I wouldn't allow. I would ask him, beg him not to take this fight. Right now, that being said, I'm not betting against Mike Tyson in the ring against Jake Paul. I'm not betting against Mike Tyson.